Good evening, everybody. Welcome to week 35 of the Prem Predictions Show. Yes, 3 more weeks and then the season ends. It has been a very, very long season, very, very interesting season, and nothing is decided yet. Well, maybe after this week there could be. Anyway, but welcome to the Prem Predictions Show. Please do leave a like on the video. Do subscribe if you are new. And I've been joined by 2 fabulous, fabulous guests, and they will probably say that they have had a very, very good season. Mr. Craig Beazley from Up the Cherries in all departments. How are you, mate?
Yeah, really, really good, Doug. And thank you so much for having me back on. Yes, I think you can say it's been an outstanding season, really. From the thrashing that we got up at Anfield under Scott Parker, getting called by Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage, who, like... I'll mention it again as well. Kendall quite like my prediction from the start of the season, but when I turned around and I said, "Well, Scott Parker's got to go," they called me a bit of an idiot. The club got rid of him. Here we are. We're actually safe with 4 games to go, and what's crazy as well is it's only 7 points to beat Eddie Howe's best season with Bournemouth. It's crazy.
Wow. That is absolutely amazing. And someone who has definitely had a wonderful season and probably just ever so closer to Champions League football, but nothing is decided until the final whistle. So lovely Kendall Rowan. How are you, Kendall?
Yeah, I'm really, really good. Thank you. Nice to be back. You've known me for a long time, Doug, and I genuinely probably have never, well, I'm saying probably absolutely have never been this happy as a Newcastle fan. So, yeah, it's really, really, it's a nice season. It's weird because I'm enjoying every second and I really don't want it to be over. But at the same time, like, I'm not used to actually fighting for something other than relegation. So yeah, it's nice to be on the other side of the coin, but also very, stressful. I'm like, honestly, the stress that I have going to games is like, it's a different type of stress, but it doesn't help. But yeah, we've not been there for a long time, 20 years in fact. So it'll be nice if we do get Champions League this season, and especially obviously with Eddie at the wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. Long overdue, it has to be said as well. But no, it's going to be a very, very interesting show. We've got 10 games. You'll be happy to know we've not got the 18 that we had a couple of weeks ago. That was pretty mental, I've got to say. But yes. Let me say hello to a few. Actually, Elevator and Mr. B are actually having a very good chat here. But we'll get there anyway. Good evening, Elevator. Hope you're all right. Correct me if I'm wrong, but since both the EFL Cup and the FA Cup have been won by teams who have qualified the UEFA Champions League, City win the UEFA Champions League 5th placement Champions League. They did do that. I'm not sure they do now.
Wasn't that Everton that they did that too? Because Liverpool won the Champions League, and then Everton had to go through the qualifiers. When was that? Must have been about 2004, I reckon.
I think so. I'm sure it only goes to 5th place if one of if one of the teams who were left in the Champions League who didn't finish in top 4 won the Champions League. So, like for example, like Chelsea, and then it would go to. And then it would be 5 teams, if that makes sense. But normally it is only 4, so it won't matter because Man United, if Man United finish outside of the top 4 and then win the FA Cup, then I'm not sure how that'll work. But yeah, if obviously Man United, Man City, Arsenal, and Newcastle, the top 4, I don't think anything changes. I believe, but
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I'm not going to be the person you come through to for Champions League talk. Let's be honest, because I've not been there since 2003-4. So I'm not going to be the Champions League expert. I can't lie.
I've just worked it out actually, Doug. It was when you had that very, very good night in Istanbul all those years ago in
Yes.
2005. Coming back from 3-0 down against AC Milan. What game that was.
And we actually finished below Everton that season as well, which makes
That was it.
strangely enough.
So Everton finished 4th, and then you finished 5th, wasn't it?
I believe so, yeah. By the way, Elevator, I'm not talking about other players, but it is looking possible. It is looking possible. Mr. B is asking him to look at us to go in as well. They're just having a nice wee chat as well. Hello, Mr. B as well. Hope you're all right. John says, big up, guys. Coach's Corner's on. Hello. Hope you are well. Big up, John. Will also depend on whether our team turn up the bees who wants to sting and bully the big team or the team that doesn't fancy it. Big up, Oliver. John Hopeson. Hello, John. Hope you're good. If Guardiola does not win the treble or does not win the league, Gary O'Neill should be manager of the season, either him or Eddie Howe. Yeah, I agree with that. The only thing is, you've left out Unai Emery, who I think is a good candidate for manager of the season because what he's done at Aston Villa is fantastic. But Gary O'Neill deserves a hell of a shout out. He's done a magnificent job at Bournemouth. He really has. Big up does get a panel. Great to see you, Kendall. Long time no see. You must be up with the Geordies at the moment. Absolutely. Douglas Craig, he will beat us this weekend in 007 for Lampard. That'd be hilarious. Good evening, Shane, as well. How's your week been? Yeah, pretty good. Probably been in and out. Probably need to start. No problem. Yes. Good luck with your GCSEs. You should be revising, mate.
My brother's doing the same. My little brother's doing the same at the moment. So good luck. I've been helping him with his as well. And all I'm going to say is I'm glad that is not me anymore. I am very, very glad.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Happy the Bournemouth staying up. Bournemouth bigger club in Watford. Yeah, I would say so. I would say so as well. But guys, this is obviously the Prem Predictions Show. Get your predictions down in the live chat or after the video has gone out. So the first game, and we did say it is the first time we speak about Bournemouth. Craig, Bournemouth against Chelsea. Yes, 4-1 win over Leeds United last Sunday, I think it was.
It was.
You would have been very confident going into that Leeds game, but were you surprised with the scoreline?
I was, yeah. I honestly thought that we'd get a result against Leeds. If you look at their form going into the game, of course, they were thrashed 6-1 by Liverpool, 5-1 by Crystal Palace. They did get a draw the week before. I think that was Leicester, wasn't it? But they didn't particularly look very good. And I was quite confident coming off the game against Southampton. Now, it's a weird one because some people said that we didn't play particularly well against Southampton, but I thought we had that intensity. There is always a little bit of a different dynamic because it is a local rival, and I think that did play into the game a bit. We did sit too far back at the end, and Che Adams did put the ball back in the back of the net, but luckily he was probably a toenail offside. We got away with one, which is quite nice. But personally, I thought that we would get a result against Leeds, but just not 4-1. Of course, all hell's broken loose at Leeds since, and you can see why. Their fans were singing for Victor Orta out. They were poor, very, very poor. But don't take that any of that away from Bournemouth. We did a job on them, and the only thing that I could say a bit frustrated about was when the ball comes straight into the box. Again, we let Patrick Bamford loose and just head it in the back of the net. It was poor defending, probably by Kelly, but pleasantly surprised about the result, but expected a win, to be perfectly honest.
Well, if Bournemouth are going really, really well, Kendall, what about Chelsea? What is going on there?
I honestly can't see them winning another game this season. Deadly serious. Like,
Neither can I.
they're just very, very lucky at this moment in time that there's 3 worse teams than them. Because honestly, if Thomas Tuchel hadn't been the manager at the beginning of the season, they'd actually genuinely be like near relegation. Because Graham Potter didn't improve them one slight ounce. And that's, honestly, I actually feel very sorry for him. Well, actually, my sympathy's a little bit capped because he did take the job. He knew what it entailed. He knew it was kind of, Chelsea has become like a little bit of a poison chalice job over the last few years. And obviously, he was fed a little bit of information that it was going to be a long-term project. But he did nothing that allowed them to continue with that project. He had no short-term success to make that project worthwhile. So, and then now Frank Lampard has come in. What on earth? I genuinely don't understand that appointment one slight ounce, because he was awful at Everton. He was awful the previous time at Chelsea. So what on earth? They were saying, it's like club legend coming back, steady the ship. Steady what ship? He's only ever sunk them. Like, what? Literally, what on earth? Like, Derby, fair enough, and it was a little bit of a different situation there. But in terms of his Premier League jobs, he's not done anything of note in the Premier League whatsoever. So it's their own fault, really. And they look poor. They just have no idea what the best starting 11 is because of all the players that were coming in. They've got injuries mounting up. Reece James probably needs surgery now. They just don't have a goal scorer whatsoever. They're just leaking goals. Yeah, it's not looking good for them. And I laugh because everybody thought that that's how we would be. Like, everyone was waiting for us to be the Chelsea, and then they've gone and done it instead. So I'm just glad, because they are just like the cover girls for what not to do if you are a Premier League club. Like, just don't do it.
Yeah, I've got to say, I agree. I can't see Chelsea winning another game this season. And it's not just that, but when you look at their team right now, they've only got one leader in that team, and that's Thiago Silva. Like, Azpilicueta used to be a leader, and look what's happened to him. But Chelsea are badly needing a striker. The one position they need to strengthen next season is striker, massively. Aubameyang, 6 touches against Arsenal, 6, and it just goes to show that's not been a very good signing.
Like, if you think about the last few years, not one attacker has excelled at Chelsea. Like, Giroud, you could even say, like, maybe at a push, but like, since maybe it's like Diego Costa or something like that, they just have not one, not even attackers, players in general, for a general consensus, have not thrived at Chelsea. Like, there's only a handful, like Antonio Rudiger, for example, obviously Reece James, who've actually gotten better by being at Chelsea. And it's scary, like, especially when you've spent so much money and it's gone the wrong way. It's like I would be like very scared to be in their situation. They're just obviously lucky because they've got like recent history and they're a big club. So yeah, it's weird what's happening there. I'm just glad it's not me. I'm so glad.
One thing about Chelsea as well, I had Matisse on from the channel MAH.
I love Matisse.
And he was brilliant. He was really, really good. And Todd Bowley, I'll keep calling him Ted. Todd Bowley, what he has done is he's just been throwing money into this, but they're not the manager's players. They're the players that he wants to bring in. And the way I look at football, and I don't really buy into this, because with regards to like Gary O'Neill, even though Richard Hughes had a big part to play here in the players that we signed during the January window, Gary O'Neill had an overall consensus of that as well. And Eddie was always the same. He was always hands-on, looking at all the players that he was going to bring in to the squad. And he didn't get everyone right, but he was building something. And I think Graham Potter is a builder. He's a manager that needs time. Like he got at Brighton, he had time. He already had quite a good nucleus, and he took him to the next level. But there was not that pressure. Eddie Howe, for example, is the same. the same sort of thing, but he can get instant results as well.
Yeah.
The problem is when Potter went into Chelsea, they expected instant results. They expect to be challenging for the Champions League. They don't expect to be changing things around. And I think Todd Bowley has to really look at it and think, right, okay, my signings aren't working. I employ a manager to pick the players and go, right, okay, I want this player, and this player, because they'll fit into a system that I want to play, not what a chairman wants to play or whoever's making those calls. It just seems a little bit backwards. And a lot of clubs like that, Leeds, for example, I believe that they're similar, where Radrizzani was making a lot of the calls and Victor Orta was making a lot of the calls of what players they bought in. I think really the manager should have the overall say. And at the moment at Chelsea, well, Graham Potter didn't.
Chelsea's transfer strategy was simply just hijack other deals that they found like other clubs were doing. So like Mudryk, for example, they were just like, oh, well, Arsenal want him, so we'll just go on for 20 million more and get him instead. Like it was just a completely random set of transfers that didn't even really make any sort of sense. And it was just there was just no, and the fact that your owner is going to be involved in your it just doesn't sit right with me at all. Like I would absolutely hate to think that like my owner was sitting in on like meetings about transfers because they don't know what they're doing. That's why you employ people at the club. Like we've got Dan Ashworth, for example, from Brighton, who know what they're doing and who know what you need, not just random, let's go and sign whoever. Like it's just bizarre.
Eddie will have that final say at Newcastle though, and I'm sure that's 100%. The reason why he picked Newcastle, because he could have gone, in between the time he left us and went to Newcastle, he could have gone to Celtic. There was other clubs as well that was being mooted. He went to Newcastle because he was going to be given that overall say. So, personally, I think, that's a great move for him. But I'm hopeful, fingers crossed, this is we can get the better of Chelsea again.
Yeah, so Bournemouth Chelsea, it is the first game tomorrow. What are you going to go for, Craig? What's your prediction?
I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. I think we will go 2-0 up. I do think we'll probably sit back and try and protect it at that point. But hopefully there's not too much time to sit back and protect it. It doesn't really work in this division. That's something that Eddie never did with us. In fact, he probably did towards the end of the fifth season with COVID and situations like that. And that's why that change of tact probably didn't work as well for him in that fifth season. But he always used to play on the front foot. But I would say, going back to the game, I reckon we'll win 2-1.
2-1, Kendall?
Yeah, 2-1 was my prediction as well for Bournemouth Chelsea. So, be a decent win for Bournemouth. Just help solidify their place again, and it'll be really, 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 really funny if Frank Lampard loses again. So, win-win.
Well, it'll be 4 points off Eddie's maximum. Well, when we finished 9th, I think it was 46 points that we got. So we're 7 points off at the moment.
42.
That would be
42. Yeah.
Yes, it would be 42. So I'm trying to think now. Maths isn't my strength. Yes, it would be 42. Yes, 4 points to go. Yeah, sorry. Maths isn't my strength. I couldn't be an accountant, could I?
Shane's gone 3-0 Bournemouth. Believe it or not, I've also gone 3-0 Bournemouth. I think you're going to absolutely tank them. I really am. There's just this feeling of Chelsea and the players. I don't know if they're not really working out at the moment. And one player, who obviously Kendall will know, and I think she knows who I'm talking about, João Felix. Has that been a bit of a wasted transfer to Chelsea?
100%, because not one person's coming out of that well at the end of it. And this is exactly what I said in January. I said it was not a good move. I said, constantly, I just knew it was just going to end badly. And now it's badly for everybody because Atleti aren't going to get the money that they want. Or we're expecting. Listen, the release clause is something ridiculous, like £240 million. And I know that La Liga release clauses are very big, especially if they're homegrown players. So, like Saul, for example, his release clause is 320 million. No one is ever paying that for Saul. But after the Saul loan, they should have looked at that and thought, actually, Chelsea's maybe not the ideal situation for a player that we want to maybe put in the shop window. I know Atleti wouldn't have said that they were going to do that, but that's exactly why he's gone on loan. They don't play the type of football that he would excel with at the time. And even Potter, they didn't. So it wasn't like, maybe they will play that. And 11 million for not even a 6-month loan, a 4.5-month loan is stupid. And then he went and got sent off in his first game. So you know, it's just everything that I said about him is coming true. He just has he has all the technical ability in the whole wide world, right? He is one of the most technically able footballers that I've ever watched, right? Like genuinely.
Yeah.
He has no football brain. He just does not have the football and IQ to excel in the position that he believes that he can excel in. He just doesn't. His final third, ball is just not good. He doesn't have a goal. If you can't pass as an attacker midfielder or a second striker or whatever, you really need to have a goal scoring instinct or at least some sort of finishing instinct, because you need to have one or the other. He doesn't have that. In that move, he just has not improved at all. So now he's going to come back to Atleti. They're never going to get any sort of decent money for the investment that they made in him. And I know that's not the be all and end all, but his development and his football and development has absolutely slowed down now as well. So yeah, it was just a poor move on. But the only thing I think now is Todd Bowley and Chelsea are probably the only ones stupid enough to pay the money for him now. So I just think maybe he just will go there. But in any case, he signed a year extension on his Atleti deal. So he's coming back to Atleti either way, I think, whatever happens. But shame really.
Chelsea are a shambles. Absolute shambles. It is very, very bad.
I feel a bit sorry for them just because they've had so much recent success. Like, it's really hard to accept that you're not at that level anymore. And I completely get that. And I get why they'd be absolutely devastated. But I honestly feel even more sorry for them because they've accepted it. Like, most Chelsea fans now are just we're just not good. Like, obviously, I know Scorecat in the comments, shout out to you for being unbiased because you're coming across very fair. But I'm too empathetic, me. Other people are like, oh yes, lovely Chelsea, and I'm like, oh, I feel sorry.
Yeah, Chelsea are definitely a shambles at the moment as well.
This might work quite well for them next season though, because no European football. I think that pressure will be off, and Pochettino will be able to, focus on the Premier League. The squad there, they should be competing, for the top four. But what he needs to do is come in, have a real good summer with them, make sure Todd Bowley is under control.
You'll call him Ted. That's going to be his slander name now, Ted Bowley.
Ted Bowley.
Make sure he's under control and not shelling out money on players that Poch doesn't want. And I think, it could be quite a successful season for him next year. But, this year has been an absolute car crash of it, hasn't it, really?
It has. And they are on course for their lowest ever Premier League finish. I think their lowest ever Premier League finish, was 10th. That was obviously when they were champions. It could be as low as 14th by the end of tomorrow. Manchester City, Leeds United. Now, when I look at this game, obviously this game last season finished 7-0 to Manchester City. Oh, Leeds. Well, happy birthday, Javi Gracia. You're sacked. Kendall, Big Sam is back. I was just thinking, is this 2023 or 2003? Because you would have Roy Hodgson, Neil Warnock, and Sam Allardyce all in that year. But it's 2023, and the three of them are in as well. First of all, Leeds United sacking Gracia. I don't think there was really any surprise. They were conceding way too many goals. But Big Sam, I mean, with 4 games to go.
I think the honestly, if you go want anyone to kind of get you out of that situation, as much as I dislike the bloke, it's Big Sam. Obviously, kind of Everton have gone the other way, and as we were speaking before the stream, they've done Sean Dyche, and we're obviously hoping that he would do the same, and he's really struggling. I am gutted because Leeds is like my local away game. It's an hour and a half away, but it's the closest away game that I have. Luckily, we've got 2 northern teams back in the Championship, at least 2 northern teams next year. So it's a little bit, softens the blow a little bit. But yeah, they've looked, honestly, and I know a lot of Leeds fans will say the same, and it's a very cliche thing, but they've looked awful since Bielsa left. They haven't improved anywhere across the board. Jesse Marsh didn't improve them. He did a little bit for a really short space of time, and then this season just looked really bad. He again probably had far too much say in the signings when it should have been maybe not as much, because he just signed like just loads and loads of American players and sometimes we haven't seen it a lot where an American player has really excelled in the Premier League. I'm not sure why that is, or for whatever reason. It's probably not to do with ability, because they play well as a national team, but it's just, I think it just went the complete wrong way. I wouldn't care. They signed really good players like Willie Gnonto, who I think is a fantastic footballer, and I genuinely, if they go down, I'm honestly hoping we go in for him, because I think he's fantastic, and he is so young. So, but yeah, they look poor, and every game I've watched of them, they just look worse and worse. So honestly, if Big Sam is the miracle they need, well, then he is that. But I see them going now. For me, I just think they're gone.
I have a feeling that they could be gone as well. And
they've got a really hard run in. They've got Man City, and then they've got us next. I don't know who they've got the last 2 games, but them 2 games, if they lose them,
West Ham.
They've got West Ham and Spurs, I think, to finish off. That is not easy. That is not. Easy.
They're not getting 3 points out of that. So
I agree. I think they could be gone. Craig, I mean, there's one game that you basically go into thinking, right, this is a free hit. It's Manchester City.
Yeah.
But with Erling Haaland, he has broken the Premier League record for goals scored. I think it's 35 he's got now. Yes. 51 in all comps. It's
ridiculous, isn't it?
We are talking about one of the best strikers in world football. How many goals could he considerably get before the end of the season? Because it could potentially be getting into that 60.
I think personally, it wouldn't be beyond him to get another 2 a game. If he gets another 2 a game, that will take him up to 43. And to be honest, that isn't going to be beaten for a long. Well, no, it might be beaten because he might go and beat it himself. But to be honest, he is just, when he come down here, he's one of those players that as soon as the ball falls to him, he'll do something magic with it. To be honest, he didn't do much moving around. He didn't do much running about. But what he did was he put the ball straight in the back of our net as soon as he got that ball. It was a magical goal, really. He's just a special talent, and it is a bit of a free hit for Leeds. It is a free hit that I think Sam Allardyce is going to give him a bit of fight. If it's going to be enough is another question, but I think there will be a bit of fight, and I think Leeds will score. Not saying necessarily, I think they'll still get beat, but at the same time, I think he'll put that grit and that fight into them. It will be long ball. It will be trying to get to the big man up front, who I'm sure it will probably be Patrick Bamford, that they'll just keep firing it into. Willie Gnonto as well. I completely agree with you, Kendall. Is a quality player. He was their best player on the pitch.
Yeah.
And in both of the games against us this season, the 4-3 win for Leeds, he basically turned the game on its head. Somerville's a very, very good player as well, but I think that's what his plan is going to be. Just get that ball into the box and just keep asking questions of Man City. I still think Leeds will get beat, and I still think it's going to be a really, really difficult task to get out of it. I think that they probably will be playing catch up. Spurs, they could probably get something from that. West Ham could well get something from that game as well. They're not going to get anything from Man City and not going to get anything from Newcastle either.
So I've gone 5-0 City because I just cannot see Leeds going there. I think if they sit back, I think City are that team that can just pick you off. I know they struggled to obviously, beat West Ham, but I thought West Ham played well in the first half. I thought they played really well against City, but after that, it was plain sailing for them, 3-0 in the end. But yeah, for me, I'm going 5-0. Kendall?
Yeah, 4-0. I would say 4-0. Although, to be honest, if anything Big Sam's going to do, it's going to be make Leeds very hard to play against. And not because, not City hard to play against, but Big Sam hard, where it's 9 men behind the ball at any one time, leave your striker up there, just fire a long ball, hope they're not offside, and that's what they're going to try and do. So, it'll be very interesting to see how they set up. But yeah, I just see it's just a City win for me all day long. And if they don't, then I just can't. That's not even comprehensible at this point. It's going to be a City win.
Yeah, so I've gone 5-0. Kendall's gone 4-0. Craig thinks that Leeds will score. That's a case of how many City will get. So what are you going for?
I'm going to agree with you, Doug, on the amount that City will score. So they will get 5. I reckon Erling Haaland's going to get a hat-trick. He's going to be a real thorn in Leeds' side at the back. But I think Leeds will get 2. I think Leeds will get 2.
Oh, 2? Okay.
Yeah, I think it'll be a 5-2 win for Man City. I think there'll be a lot of heart. Sam Allardyce will get them working hard, but I don't think it'll be enough. I think they'll be relying on getting results from those last 2 games.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see what some of you are saying. Man City 5, Leeds 0. Next, Sportcast gone 7-1. Big Sam to the rescue. I don't see it, to be honest. City 3-0. Dave's on. Hello, Dave. Hope you're good. 2-1 Reds, he's saying. I know they played Big Sam. I say they had it way too strong. Shane, I'll have whatever you are drinking, smoking, watching. 1-0 Leeds, Route 1 goal. Yeah, we'll see. Premier League scheduling, by the way, has been shocking. Arsenal Chelsea on a Tuesday, 3 Monday night games. I think that's because of the coronation, I think that is because of that, West Ham and Spurs. And also, I believe as well, the final games of the Championship being played as well. Newcastle Pippin United, 3rd place. Yes, absolutely. Big look ahead, Holland. That's interesting. EK, hello, mate. Hope you're good. Those records, Holland will say, will only be broken by himself, and then when he leaves, it will never be broken again. Man doesn't even train, just a beast. Jimmy Somerville, yes. Leeds, Southampton, Everton down for Mr. B. Leeds, Southampton, and Everton will be down in the Championship with the Mackhams next season. We shall see. Haaland will get 4 against Leeds, rolling back the Leipzig destruction. Yes, I can definitely see that. Oh, the next game, Tottenham against Crystal Palace. Tottenham. Get back to 3-3. Richarlison celebrates like he's scored the winner in a World Cup final. Takes his shirt off. 10 seconds later, Liverpool go up the other end, score 4-3. That has to be the most Spursiest thing that could ever happen, Craig.
Yes, it is. Spurs under Stellini were absolutely terrible, as everybody saw. Newcastle absolutely destroyed them. And to be honest, we were all over them that game. Yes, I know that we got that goal in the last minute, but we were all over Spurs. much the better side. The thing is Ryan Mason's now in charge. Of course, that 4-3 defeat against Liverpool. Personally, Palace is probably going to be a bit on the beach. They're safe. They're not going to.
Yeah.
They're not going to get Europe. They're not going to go down. Are they going to rotate things? There's a lot of questions about some of their players as well. If they're going to be there next season, and if Roy's in there for the long haul, he might think, right, okay, it's time to test out a couple of these players. I believe Michael Olise is one of the players who they're saying might be departing Crystal Palace.
He's fantastic. Wherever he goes next season, they're getting a very, very special player. I think Eze could be another one that could be potentially being touted by these clubs as well. I just think Palace, Elise, Eze, Zaha, Mateta. I mean, even Ayush getting goals now is it's pretty mental to say that. But yeah, I think when I look at Palace, Kendall, you have to say, well done to Roy Hodgson, because he is actually up for the Manager of the Month for April. Are you surprised of the way he's actually gone in and actually Palace are now scoring goals?
Yeah, I'm very surprised. Although to be fair, not the season he left, but the season before, the Crystal Palace were playing pretty decent football that season as well. But yeah, I'm very surprised. Obviously, he's classed as, not in a rude way to Roy Hodgson, because I actually think he's a good manager, but one of those dinosaur managers, like a Big Sam, Neil Warnock situation. That's what they all get called. But he's got them playing really well. And it's funny that I thought it would be the other way around. Like Patrick Vieira would have them playing really, really good football. And it just hasn't worked out. But yeah, Spurs are just Spurs at this point. Like Richarlison has took his shirt off 4 times this season, right? 3 times they've been offside. And the 4th, you guys went and scored afterwards. So I think he needs to stop doing that. He's got 4 yellow cards all for taking his shirt off this season for nothing. Literally for not one reason has he done that. I love the passion, don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's just it's just so Spurs. And they're not going to even going to get European football this year, I wouldn't have said. There's teams better than them. There's Liverpool on fire now again. I think you'll probably win every game at the end of the season now. Brighton, Aston Villa, that I just can't see Spurs finishing above them, I'm afraid.
Yeah. So Craig says that obviously Palace will feel like they're on the beach. This is a really difficult one to call because Tottenham at home, I mean, they got a 2-2 against Manchester United, which I think they deserved, because I think Manchester United were very poor in that second half, and we all know how bad their away form are. Yeah. Kendall, what are you going for this one?
1-1.
1-1.
I would have backed Crystal Palace, but again, Spurs are at home, and yeah, we'll see. It's probably actually going to be, I don't know, but I'll just go 1-1. It's probably going to end up being a boring game, likely.
Yeah, this is a very tricky one, Craig. I mean, I've gone 3-1 Tottenham because I've got that feeling that Palace will be on the beach, but I just have a feeling as well when you look at Tottenham, they do concede a lot of goals.
Yeah, they do. They do. I do think Ryan Mason will get a much needed victory, to be honest, this weekend. It's not, of course, Spurs have got a very, very talented side again, but it's a sum of parts. And I think you're quite correct. They do concede quite a few goals. I think I'll go, I got to agree with you, with regards to how many goals that Spurs will score. But I think Palace will get 2. I think Palace will get 2 for that sole reason. Yeah, I was thinking 3-2 when you mentioned the game. I just think Palace have done what they need to do now. And I think Roy will rotate players and have a look and see what else is out there. And what else he's got at his disposal ready for next season. Will he be there next season? I think he's got a taste for it now again.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking he'll be on next season. Probably that would be it though after that.
Yeah. Mr. B's going 2-1 Palace. 2-0 Palace is elevator. 2-2 says Shane. Super Y. Yeah, of course, Super Y. Palace are shocking after losing 4-0 to Tottenham. They lost 4-0 to Tottenham at home. They didn't lose to Liverpool. Actually, they drew 1-1 and 0-0. Richarlison is the most Spursy player ever, aka Mr. Pigeon Dance. I'm not even going to do it because it's a ridiculous celebration anyway. 3-2 Palace, says Zane. I can't see Tottenham not conceding at least twice in this game. Richarlison, big no shithouse. Hello, Ravi. Hope you're good. Spurs will lose 2-1, says Ravi. The next one is a Midlands derby. It's Wolves against Aston Villa. Kendall, Wolves 6-0 defeat to Brighton. I never saw that one coming.
No, because I think Wolves had got a decent win before that. Was it against? It might have even been against Leicester or something like that. I don't know who it was, but and I thought they played well, and they played another team as well and played pretty decently. And I was like, oh, maybe they'll be all right this season. But again, they've just looked really poor. I really thought Lopetegui was going to come in and do a good job with them, to be honest, because I've watched him a lot. Obviously at Sevilla, he had Sevilla literally competing decently in the Liga for a lot of years, and they kind of went downhill, even more downhill when he left as well. So I thought Lopetegui at the time was a really, really great shout, but it just hasn't worked out as well as I've seen Wolves play in the past. They've played much better football than they are now in the past, and yeah, they've got some really, really good players as well, and had a pretty decent transfer, a couple of decent transfer windows. So yeah, don't know what's going on there. But Aston Villa, Unai Emery, what a job he is doing!
Fantastic.
Just honestly unbelievable. To go from 17th to European places, in less than half seasons, just honestly crazy. So yeah, he's doing a fantastic job. But Aston Villa are playing some really, really nice football. So yeah, Aston Villa win for me. I think it'll be 3-0.
3-0 Aston Villa. Wow, straight in there. I mean, Craig, when I look at Aston Villa,
yeah,
they've got a really good side now. Ramsey, Watkins. Obviously, you've got Bailey, McGinn. Unai Emery's got a lot of good players there. And even the German champions, Bayern Munich, are potentially going in to look for Watkins as a potential striker.
I think what Emery's done there is fantastic. If you look at the side, it is exactly the same as what we played at the start of the season. And Emery's completely transformed them. We're a bit of a bogey side to Aston Villa. So, of course, when they come down here, first game of the season, we beat them 2-0. They weren't at the races. They didn't really seem that together. When we went up to Villa Park, and that was fairly recently, they blew us away 3-0. And they were outstanding. They really, really were outstanding that game. And they have been. He's got everybody playing together, everybody working in the same direction. And I can't see anything but an Aston Villa win against the team who I say are the most inconsistent team in this division. There's a team that, when you look at them on paper, they're getting beat in games which they should win, and then getting beaten heavily by other teams like Brighton, and then they went and beat Liverpool 3-0 as well during this season. They don't make any sense. I think they're safe. I think they're safe from relegation, but next season that needs to change. But I think Aston Villa are just going to be way too strong for them.
Yeah, what score are you going for?
I'm going to go with Kendall, 3-0 Villa.
3-0. I've gone 2-0, so it's a full house of Aston Villa away victories. Let me see what some of you are saying. The 4-0 to Liverpool was the 1920 season. Yes, it was. 2-2 says Ravi. Hello, look, hope you're all right. 2-2 says Elevator. Yeah, good, mate. Hope you are well. 2-1 Villa. Another good evening for Emery. Wolves 1-1. Wolves 2, Villa 1. Ooh. Yes, Bailey has improved under Unai. Definitely. Villa, when they signed Gerrard, were about 17th in the league. Now they're 7th. mental, absolutely mental. 7 people without the one. Wolves need a bounce back. Wolves 2-1. Very interesting. Now, there is one game. It is tomorrow evening, and it is at Anfield. It is Liverpool against Brentford. I've got to say, Liverpool are starting to get into that winning momentum again, and it has taken a long, long time. Typical that it's obviously had to come by the end of the season. But the one thing I like about us at the moment, Craig, we're grinding out results. We never used to do that at the moment, and we seem to be grinding out. Obviously, 4-3 against Tottenham. We almost threw that way. I mean, that should have been wrapped up by half time, and then obviously look what happened. But the Fulham game, Fulham played really, really well, and if it wasn't for Alisson Becker, I have to say, Alisson Becker, if it wasn't for him, Liverpool would be about 16th because he's made so many, many good saves. But Liverpool are grinding out games now.
Yeah, you're looking a lot better. They're looking a lot better. Earlier on in the season, Liverpool were poor. There was only one game where they really turned on the style. Unfortunately, well, to be honest, we gave you a helping hand on that front, didn't we? We just sat back and it was just like, yeah, come and destroy us. So yeah, I think Klopp is, Klopp's a good manager. He'll know how to turn this around. It's a lot more fluent passing. I do worry a little bit because when Liverpool did come down here, Virgil van Dijk doesn't particularly look like he's been on his game this season. There was a header that really he should have put in the back of the net. So yeah, he's not really been himself this season, but I think Klopp is getting things right. And this is an interesting one, though. Brentford are a very, very good side. Ivan Toney on fire. It's an interesting one. It's a difficult one to call for me, this.
Yeah, I mean, Kendall, wherever Brentford finished, they've had a fabulous season.
Yeah, 100%. They've done really, really good. I think if they were going to finish into European spaces, I think that Thomas Frank will probably have a big shout of manager of the season as well. But I think they might just miss out. But yeah, they've been great. They've played some really, really nice football as well this season. And I think it'll be a difficult game. I do still see Hughes winning because, as I said, I don't think he'll lose a game now till the end of the season. I think he'll win everyone. But yeah, I think it'll be a tough game, to be fair. So I think it'll be 2-1 to Liverpool.
That's exactly what I've gone for. I'm not expecting an easy game at all tomorrow. And then Brentford have some fabulous players. Jensen, Mbeumo, Tony. I think I've said Vissa as well. Ben Mee, he's rolling back the years as well. He's been fabulous in the centre back. Aaron Hickey. That's going to be an interesting battle tomorrow. Aaron Hickey against Andy Robertson, the two Scottish full-backs. So, yeah, look, I think it's going to be a very, very tricky game. Craig, what are you going for?
I'm going to look like I should have gone first, shouldn't I, and told you my prediction, because I'm going to look like I'm copying now. I was thinking 2-1 Liverpool. To be honest, I agree with you, Kendall. I think Liverpool will go unbeaten now till the end of the season and win every single game. There seems to be that determination in the squad, and yeah, I think you'll be fine. I think you'll be fine, and Klopp's going to get the team raring to go for next season.
Yeah, I have a feeling we might win every single game as well, but we shall see. Reece Gaming Channel, good evening, mate. Hope you are well. You're going for 3-1 Aston Villa. Shane going 3-1 Liverpool. I'm not excited for this game. I know we won 5 in a row, but when we won 4 in a row, Brentford beat us, and also Brentford 5 in our top half finish. Lucas says 2-1 Liverpool as well. Oops, the chat just went up there a minute. Top 4 still on. When we come to speak about Manchester United, I do have a bit of a wee good stat about Manchester United, actually. Liverpool 3, Brentford 1. Don't like going against my team. I just think you lot are looking awesome now, so won't do the double over you. But saying that if we do win, I will be happy. Yeah, Brentford have had a fabulous season, must be, definitely. I generally think Brentford can cause threat. Brentford 2, Liverpool 2. That's a good prediction. 3-1 Liverpool. I'm going Liverpool 3, Brentford 2. We'll be 2-0 down in third. Oh, Jesus Christ. Fans raging. And Then around the 56th minute, we get back into it. We score an equaliser in the 83rd minute. Then the 89th minute, we scored the winner. I like how you literally didn't have any spaces there. It's literally like Morse code that you're doing there. So I had to squeeze it all in. Yes, absolutely. Hello, Henry. Hope you're good. I honestly believe United will have a poor run to the end of the season. We'll win every game, and I do believe we'll get top 4. We shall see. Cyber Leader's in. Hello, Cyber Leader. Hope you're good. And Henry saying hello to Cyber Leader. So, we've got a couple of games on Sunday. And the first one, this is a massive, massive game. Newcastle United against Arsenal. Could the Geordies end Arsenal's title hopes? It could potentially be happening. But Kendall, I still say it, Liverpool are the only team to have beaten Newcastle this season. How are you feeling going into this one?
Yeah, I'm actually excited. It's like weird, like sadistic excitement, but like I am really looking forward to how the game's going to go. And I'm really looking forward to see, like, because I think we'll probably cancel each other out. I'm glad that the game's at home because I trust us a lot more at home than I do away. But the way that we've been playing lately, like the first halves of games, except from Spurs, we haven't, like against Everton, it wasn't the best first half. Southampton's first half was awful from us. But I think like we've been coming back in the second half and just absolutely demolishing teams, which I've never ever seen us be able to do before. And I really, really hope Wilson and Isak start together, because I think if they do, I have a lot of confidence that we'll go on to win that game. The fact that we're at home, the fact that they're mentally struggling with the task that's at hand right now, City are on top again. It's just going to be, and obviously City have got... Yeah, you can do my nails. City are just probably gonna win again at the weekend. They've got Leeds, so that is really going to be playing on Arsenal's mind. Similar to last season, we played them at this point and we stopped them from getting top 4 last season. And obviously we weren't as good as we have been this season, but they also weren't as well. So it'll be a very, very, very interesting game. And as I've said on every preview that I've done this week, it's 2-1 to Newcastle. That's my prediction. Because I think, yes, both teams can score goals, but also, as I said, we probably will cancel each other out. So, yeah, 2-1's my prediction to Newcastle. I hope that'll be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Craig, I think we've run out of superlatives to obviously say with Newcastle this season. I mean, just fantastic, and that home form especially has been very, very good. I know recently, obviously away at Villa, they were very, very poor, but since then 4-1 Everton, 6-1 against Tottenham. 6-1 against Tottenham was mental. 5. I mean, I remember when Liverpool went 4-0 up against Arsenal once in, I think it was the 13-14 season. This was obviously when we had Brendan Rodgers. We went 4-0 up after 20 minutes against Arsenal. And I said that was an amazing thing to go 4-0 up inside 20 minutes. Newcastle went 5-0 up in 21 minutes. Unbelievable. Yeah. Absolutely unbelievable. But the pressure is obviously on Arsenal, Craig. I did say at the start as well, Newcastle are very, very close to securing Champions League football. Could they potentially dent Arsenal's title hopes?
I think if this game was a couple of weeks earlier, I think Arsenal would, you would have to say Arsenal would win it. The thing is Arsenal have really got, I don't know what it is. They can see the finishing line and they've just let it all slip. Yeah. That game against Southampton was incredibly poor. Against Man City, they just couldn't find the groove. Man City were just a step ahead of them. They did get a decent result the other week, but I think that they are starting to struggle. And I think Newcastle, Eddie is in the groove. That Villa game, I saw that, and Eddie would not have been happy with that performance.
No.
He's one of those managers, and I've met Eddie on a number of occasions, and he's one of those men that is so professional in front of the camera, and seems very, very calm. He's very, very good at disciplining players, but then giving them a second chance. He will go mad, believe it or not. Eddie Howe can go mad, but then he'll give somebody a second chance and a third chance to really prove it. And it's good. Newcastle players have responded to that. I'm sure that would have been the scenario. He'd probably have given them the hairdryer treatment and got them backfiring again. Arsenal, on the other hand, I think they've had a fantastic season. But I think the nerves are getting to them now. And I think it's going to be a challenge for them. If they can turn it around, and if Man City do drop some points, which I don't think they will, then it would be an incredible end to the season for them. But I think this could be the game which basically kills off their... Because let's be honest, Man City aren't going to get beat by Leeds this weekend. This could be the game which kills off Arsenal's chances. And I'm going to go for a 3-2 on this.
Oh,
for Newcastle.
Oh, I don't know if I might have one. I had a cardiac arrest on Sunday. I'm like, my streams are cancelled because I'm literally ill.
Yeah, I've got to agree. I'm going 3-1 Newcastle. I just think this is the game, I think, where Arsenal's title hopes end. And I don't think Arsenal got the best of records at St James's either. I think the last two games, I think they were beaten as well. I think they lost 2-0 last season as well. And obviously we all know from All or Nothing as well. I forgot what it was called there. All or Nothing. We all know how angry Arteta was as well. But no, I think Arsenal have had a fabulous season. They'll be very, very disappointed if they obviously do lose it from here. But I think the game that kind of broke them was the Liverpool second half. Because I think you kind of saw once Xhaka did his thing on Trent, that got the crowd riled up. And I even said then, Xhaka has been one of the most improved players, but he does have a very, very soft temper. And I did say at that time that I think that Arsenal were broken by Liverpool. And then obviously, look what happened, 3-3 against Southampton. And I don't think Arsenal's away record, yes, it might be the best in the Premier League by a country mile, but just recently, I just think that away from home, they play a lot different. And City away was really, really poor. They were very, very poor. I think City just completely trounced them in the end. And I think 4-1 sort of flattered Arsenal. But I think if Newcastle get an early goal against Arsenal on Sunday, it'll really, really settle them down. And we've seen this season that Newcastle have obviously got the best defensive record. They don't concede many, many goals. So, yeah, I think this is where Arsenal's title hopes end. And I think as well, I think City have got their second game in hand coming up very, very shortly. It's going to be won very, very soon, I think.
Yeah.
So
yeah, fantastic season for Arsenal. Got to be honest, but yeah, I think Newcastle, are doing so well. And like I said earlier on before we come on, I had a conversation with Eddie Howe. Did a season preview with him, and I said, of course, Doug, you were on that as well. And I said, Newcastle are going to finish third. I said, and Harry Redknapp was like, "You're mad." But if you look at when Eddie Howe took over last season to the end of the season, that's exactly where Newcastle were. Yeah. In fact, I think they even got up to second in that form table if the season had started then.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he's done a fantastic job, and I think we nickname him Sir Eddie Howe. I call him Sir Eddie Howe of Bournemouth, Paul, and Christchurch. Got to give him the official title, but I think you could probably add Newcastle to that as well.
Yeah, he's King Eddie up here now. So
King Eddie,
King Eddie.
We have a song. Eddie. We have our song. We are Geordie's team. Geordie's Eddie is our king. So not
can we have him back?
Not quite yet. I think we'll keep him for a while longer. I hope. I love him a bit. I love him a bit. He's just the way that I knew when he came into the job. Obviously, Bournemouth fans were just so I never heard a bad word about him from anyone, specifically Bournemouth fans. And I just, from that point onwards, I was like, yeah, we've got someone really, like, not special in terms of managerial, because I knew how good he was. I just didn't know how actually good he was. And yeah, he's just fantastic. He just gets the club, gets the city, just gets the fans, which is like all we've been begging for so long. And yeah, I've said it. If I've said it before, I've said it 100 times, and I will say it till my last day on this earth. If anyone ever asks me who the most important signing was of this era, and it was 100% Eddie Howe all day long. And yeah, he's just, we love him so.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one team who is definitely, I think, under the biggest pressure at this moment is Manchester United. I mean, another defeat to Brighton. Kendall, do you think Manchester United's away form has been detrimental to their top four hopes?
Yeah, 100%. Because I don't think they even beat any of the top six, top six this season. Obviously,
They've not
beaten
any of the top 9 away from home this season.
Yeah, I knew it was at least 6 or 9's crazy. Their away form is awful, and honestly, the last, I would say, 4 games I've watched them play, they've looked horrible. They've looked extremely poor. And against Tottenham should have won that game. Son missed so many chances. And I wouldn't care, Man United were 2-0 up. It was just, they just haven't looked good. They're under massive pressure now because obviously they've got the FA Cup final against City as well. You don't want to play City at the moment, do you? Let's be fair.
No.
They've gone out of the Europa League, which they were expecting to win. And now they genuinely could drop out of the top 4 based on their form at the moment. So yeah, it's looking a bit scary for them at the minute. And if they don't get top 4, it's just going to be, that is to me very, very bad from them, especially considering obviously where they've been through the season. So yeah, they've just not looked great. It's weird because obviously the Carabao Cup final happened. They've been way off form since then, and we've been way back on form since then. So it was a little bit weird, but yeah, they are under massive pressure, I think, this weekend. And they're away at West Ham. And I know West Ham haven't been great this season, don't get me wrong, they have not. Obviously, we're battling relegation. But it's at West Ham, and you can never... The way Man United have been playing, and West Ham got a really decent win, not last game, the game before, so it can be done. But yeah, I just... They are under pressure at the moment, I think, now.
I mean, West Ham will go into this one, Craig, thinking Man United's poor away form. We can maybe get ourselves safe.
Yeah, I think they will do as well. West Ham, when they come down here, 4-0 winners.
I forgot. I knew they'd won, but I forgot it was against you guys. I've just forgot about that.
Yeah, it was, honestly, Kendall, it was an excellent performance from them. Paqueta looks a very, very good player. Kurt Zouma secure at the back. Probably the player that, of course, everybody goes on about Declan Rice, but probably the player that doesn't get enough credit for what he does is Cresswell. I think he's very, very good on that left wing, gets himself up the pitch and, causes some real trouble in that box with his crosses. So I think West Ham look very, very good. They look like the West Ham of last season rather than the West Ham of this season. They've been fighting on 2 fronts with the Conference League. I think even though the West Ham fans say that it hasn't been a distraction, I think it has to their Premier League form. But I think they're back. They're probably in a false position as it is at the moment. And they will be absolutely fine. And I think they'll get the 3 points against Man United. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for West Ham.
So am I. I've gone 2-1 West Ham as well.
2-1 was what I thought, actually. So yeah, 2-1.
Yeah, 2-1. I just look at Manchester United and I just think the way that they're playing at this moment in time. Yes, I know they've got injuries, but I don't see much change in what Rangnick did to what Ten Hag's done. And you look as well. Anthony should have been sent off last night against Brighton. Casemiro was very fortunate. I know he's had his red cards this season, but he should have been sent off. And the penalty decision, like, it's just lazy defending from Luke Shaw. Like, you just basically all you need to do is basically wait until one of your teammates just heads it. But no, I'll just put a big hand up, and obviously the penalty was given. But yeah, I'm going 2-1 West Ham. I think if West Ham win this, then they're safe. And then there's obviously one from obviously Leeds, Leicester, Everton, Forest, Southampton to go down. Sir Gary O'Neill, Craig.
Do you know what? A lot of Bournemouth fans have been really, really critical of him, and I don't understand it because I think he's been brilliant. He's a manager that, it's his first job. He was interim at first, and he has made mistakes this season. When we was 2-0 up against Spurs and we lost 3-2, that's one example. 3-1 up against Leeds, lost 4-3, and that was sitting too far back. The Brighton defeat, where we was all over them, and then we decided we was going to sit back and get a point, and then ended up conceding. Again, mistake. But I think he's done a fantastic job, especially recently. And I think, I'm sorry to bring this up, Doug. I think the Wolves and the Liverpool results were the catalyst for this. This little run that we've been on. Yeah, we got beaten by Villa. We got beat by Brighton in that stretch, and of course West Ham as well. But the performances have gone up, and of course last Sunday was an unbelievable performance. Something that we should be proud of, even though Leeds were poor. We picked them off. We was in complete control of that game.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, you certainly were. But yeah, I just think West Ham win, and safety, and then they can go into the Conference League thinking that they can go and win that. So that's the Sunday games. We've got 3 Monday games, obviously because of the Coronation. Like all the London-based games, I think were moved anyway. But Fulham against Leicester City. I've got to say, I thought Fulham were very unlucky the other night at Anfield. I thought they played really, really well. Don't seem to be missing Mitrovic too much. I know that obviously Mitrovic is a big miss at this moment in time, but they still had a very, very good side out. Leicester, Kendall, Leicester Everton finishing in a draw doesn't help either side.
No, it really doesn't. I'm really shocked at Leicester this season because I knew they would fall off because obviously there was talks of like financial issues in terms of they weren't going to sign any players, and they would obviously didn't finish last season that great. But I didn't think the fall off would be this massive. Like they've just every game I've watched, I'm like, oh my god, they're awful. Like their passing's horrendous. And it's just not looked good. Obviously, James Maddison was missing for a big chunk of the season as well, which didn't help them because before he got injured again, he was on really, really good form. It's one of them seasons where just everything's gone wrong for them. But it's a Fulham win for me, I think. I don't think Leicester will go down. I honestly don't, because I do think they've just got that extra edge to the teams around them that are kind of fighting for it there as well. But I think it'll be a Fulham win. But I think it'll be, I know I've probably said 2-1 loads on this show, but I think it'll be 2-1 to Fulham.
2-1 Fulham. Yeah, Craig, it's a very interesting one, this one, because Fulham did actually win at the King Power earlier in the season, didn't they? They won 1-0, I think.
I think so, yeah. I think you're right. I would have to double check, but Fulham are a good side. It's surprising how well they've taken to the Premier League. They were.
I had them going down at the beginning of the season.
I did as well.
Yeah, I did, because I thought when they come up with us, well, when they won the championship, they were quite lucky because Scott Parker did blow it a little bit. We went too defensive against teams like Peterborough, Reading, Derby, those sort of teams, and ended up, those were the sort of points that we should have been claiming. So really, personally, I think we should have, if we was on our game, throughout that season, we should have won the title. We got 37 points from the first 15 games. Fulham do rely a lot on Mitrovic, but they have got a lot of talent around him now. Of course, Willian is a very, very good player. Harry Wilson as well. Good talent. There's a lot of quality in that Fulham side, and I think defensively as well they're good. Tim Ream. It has petered out a little bit for them towards the end of this season, and I think a lot of that is coinciding with how well they've done. How hard they've pushed themselves. The cup run as well, and the loss of Mitrovic. With regards to Leicester, I thought Leicester were the better side against Everton. Especially for 70 minutes of that game.
I think the thing is about that game, I thought first half in particular, I thought Leicester were the better team in the first half. I think Everton kind of shaded it in the second half, but a 2-2 draw, they sat back too much. I think they allowed Everton to sort of come onto them a little bit, and I think they kind of sat back too much. And against Fulham, I just don't think you can do that against Fulham. And I think Fulham got players that can pick them off as well. And they are running out. I mean, they've got Liverpool after this as well, which is never an easy game for them, but they do actually have a pretty good record at the King Power against Liverpool as well. So, I mean, this is not an easy one to call, but for me, I'm going to go for Fulham. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Fulham. And I just think Leicester, they could potentially go back into the bottom three.
I'm going to put my neck out on this one because I think Dean Smith will make them aware that time is running out. Jamie Vardy looked good against Everton. I think he's been a quality player, but I think he's lost it a little bit. But there is some talent in that Leicester side. James Maddison will want to make amends for that penalty miss against Everton. Personally, I reckon that Leicester will win this. I think it'll be a very, very, very cagey 1-0. I think, Chris from Leicester Till I Die will probably be panicking throughout the whole match because I think it'll be probably early on. But I think Leicester will get out of it. I think Leicester will get out of this. And I think it will be a very cagey 1-0 win for Leicester.
1-0 Leicester. Wow. Fulham 1, Leicester 2. Well, Elevator's agreeing with you. Mr. B says 2-2. Good evening, Chris Welsh. Hope you're well. Just got home from work. Lucky you. Oh, here we go. Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 0. City 4, Leeds 0. Tottenham 2, Palace 3. Wolves on Aston, Liverpool 3, Brentford 2, Newcastle 2, Arsenal 2, West Ham 2, Manchester United 1. Believe it or not, Chris, all three of us are going for West Ham wins against Manchester United. I don't know what it is about Fulham winning the King Power. Newcastle in the Champions League, the nostalgia and Linz, I'm happy for their fans. They deserve it. Not quite there yet, but they will be. Fulham 1, Leicester 1. Leicester showing some fight under Smith. Just came in absolutely drenched, typical Carlisle weather. Madison missed a pen. Fulham win or a draw. How does Pancake Sankey get jobs? He doesn't want it in his last job. Got West Brom relegated. I'm embarrassed for Leeds fans having him as manager. Do you know when you said Pancake? I thought you were going to say Gravy for Big Sam. Seems many people think Leicester will escape. Well, one side who I don't think are escaping is someone on this panel who likes to call them the Scouse Mackhams is Brighton against Everton. I mean, I've lost superlatives for Brighton this season, but Everton. Look, fantastic that they got a point. I said on, I think it was a couple of days ago, I said I wasn't sure where the points were going to come from. But Kendall, when you look at Brighton's form, this has got a home banker. It has to be.
Has to be. yeah, it's just got to be. Brighton are on absolute top form at the moment. Fantastic. They didn't play. I wouldn't have necessarily said they played at their best against Manchester United. Because I don't think they were. They did miss a few chances, to be fair to them. But I didn't think they were at the best that I've seen them this season. But yeah, I think Everton are quite hard to break down at the moment, just obviously because Sean Dyche football. And I wouldn't care. If that goal was allowed against us the other day, I honestly think it would have been a little bit of a different story, because we struggled in the first half again. But second half, they just weren't even, I don't even know what they were doing. It was like they just weren't even like present on the pitch. It was scary. And the way Brighton are playing at the moment, it'll be a Brighton win. But yeah, I never pray on other teams' downfalls, right? Because it's been me once and it's been my team. And I know how hard it is and I know how tough it is to be in that position, right? But please just let this be the Everton go down. I'm sick. Get them. Honestly, you know what I feel. You know how I feel about them, right? I can't stand. I literally cannot stand Everton. And people will be like, "Oh, you're always forcing a rivalry." No, they literally celebrated when we went down last time, and this is the whole reason why we've got a rivalry with them now. When obviously, because it was Rafa Benitez as our manager, they were all like, obviously like the cop-out and that. So they celebrated when we got relegated last time. So they've been on the verge now for like 3 seasons. Last season they only stayed up basically because we literally. I think about that result every single day. I'm not even joking. I genuinely do. In the grand scheme of things, it does not matter to me at all now. Like, it doesn't matter to my team. But we let them beat us 1-0 when that idiot tied himself to the goalpost last season, right? And I always think about that result. Like, obviously, and they basically stayed up because of that. So yeah, they've been on the verge. Just get them going. Not even in a nasty way, but they just need to go and rebuild now, because they have gotten away with so much in the last 5 years. They've spent ridiculous amounts of money, like £600 million in the last however long, 5-6 years. And what have they got to show for it? Nothing. They're building a brand new stadium. Like, they've got away with flirting with financial fair play rules. They've got away with wage situations. Like, I honestly don't know how much more they can get away with really now. And they were horrible to Rafa, and I don't forgive them for that. So yeah, see you later.
Wait. I won't get predictions yet, but you're gonna wait for my one. I'll say that. Craig, you and I have had this discussion, right?
Yeah.
You and I have both said this is the season Everton go down. Now, when I look at this, are Everton the poorest sides in the Premier League at the moment? Because I'm looking at teams like Southampton, Forest. They've got attacking talent that they can get you out of games. Yes, I know Southampton have not been entirely good at the moment, but for me, they're not the poorest team in the Premier League. For me, if you're going to have 2 poorest sides in the Premier League at this moment in time, one's Chelsea and one is Everton.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Leeds.
And Leeds,
yeah. But at least Leeds do score goals. All right, Everton did score 2 against Leicester the other day, but attacking wise, Everton are incredibly poor. Calvert-Lewin, to be honest, when he has played, hasn't been great. Anthony Gordon.
Did you see his sitter he missed the other night?
Yes, exactly. Anthony Gordon, could well have been their saviour. They chased him down the road and when he was in his car, and that made him want to go to Newcastle. So don't blame him for that, really.
The People's Club. Club, apparently.
I think that Everton are incredibly poor. They have probably got one of the better goalkeepers in the Premier League, in Jordan Pickford. They are hard to break down, but it's all well and good, if you're not scoring goals, they're going to get stuck. And Brighton with Matoma and their McAllister as well, they're not going to keep a clean sheet against Brighton. Not in a million years. Everton.
It was 4-1 the last time. Brighton went to Goodison Park and won by 4-1. So
how? Because when they come down here, I was really worried actually of our games against Everton. So we had them in the League Cup, and then we had them in the Premier League, and I thought, right, okay, what they're going to do is they're going to come down. Yeah, we might beat them in the League Cup, but they're going to be staying in a swanky hotel, and what they'll do, train down at Poole or Wimborne or somewhere like that, one of the local clubs, and then they'll be all ready for the Premier League game. To be honest, I need not worry because
No.
they were, well, to be honest, last season, I can't think of 3 teams that were worse than Everton from last season in the Championship. They were that poor, and they haven't really improved. Sean Dyche has got them to a long ball, heading, just punt the ball up. I think they're goners, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did finish below Southampton. I would not be surprised, because I honestly question whether or not they'll get another point. Well, actually, I do think they'll get another point. I think they'll get another 3 points, because I think they'll probably beat us last game of the season. Their fans will be
No,
fuming and
no.
setting off
No
fireworks and all
chance.
sorts. It'll be horrible, and they'll probably get a result that day. But to be honest, it won't be enough, because they'll all be already be relegated by that day.
Right, here we go for predictions. I'm going Brighton 5, Everton 0. I think they're getting absolutely gubbed on Monday evening. Kendall?
3-0, Brian.
3-0. Craig?
I think they're going to get absolutely torn apart. And do you know what? I'm going to raise you. I think 6-0 to Brighton. I think they're going to get. I think they're going to get absolutely torn apart. This is the game. Let's be honest. Everton weren't very good the other day. They've not been good all season. I think, to be fair, as well, like Kendall was saying, Farhad Bashiri, spent so much money and he shelled out so much on shite, that I can't see him coming back. They've got the ground as well. They've got the stadium that they're paying for. That stadium is going to be opened in the Championship. It would be a very nice Championship stadium, but at the same time, financially, I think they're going to be ruined, and I think it's going to take a long, long time for them to get back.
Yeah, I think so as well. It does strike me as well when you look at it, Kendall, that if Everton do go down, how many years could it take them to get back up?
Yeah, especially with the Championship now, because the quality is just so much better in the Championship now, and there's more teams that are actually of decent quality there. It wasn't really the same as when we went down. It was getting there, it was getting better, but the last 2-3 years it's got far better. So yeah, they will struggle. I did see a little. I don't know how true it was, but I think on another stream someone had said that there's a clause in the contract that they have to return the docks where they're building the stadium. If they can't financially keep up with the payments on that stadium, they have to return the dock to the position that it was found in. So it just made me laugh that they're going to have to tear down the stadium and stuff, and that is just so Everton. But yeah, they're just poor. They've got, as I said, they've got away with so much, and they really, really should have gone down last season. So yeah, it's probably their time to go, and it will be. I mean, it'll be a big historic moment, because they're with them and Arsenal. Sorry, they're the 2 longest serving teams in the highest tier. They've never actually been relegated, so it'll be really, really. It'll be obviously historical, but it's literally about time, and it just goes to show again just horrible owners and how rubbish they actually can be, and how much detriment they can do to your club.
1951 was the last time they were relegated. 1951.
1951. Wow.
Yeah. Here's a question though for you both, because neither of you particularly like Everton. Will you miss them? Would you be like, right, yeah, get rid of them for a season? But hopefully they come back up, because we just need 6 points.
I would miss the Merseyside derbies, I've got to be honest. I would miss the Merseyside derbies.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is, but their fans are just not nice. Not nice anymore. And we look at, I mean, the way that, I mean, we can obviously talk about Farhad Bashiri. I mean, he is a god awful. I mean, there's some really poor owners. I mean, I would probably put Todd Bowley. Actually, no, I'd probably put the Glazers, probably put Todd Bowley then. But Farhad Bashiri has been dreadful, absolutely dreadful. And I mean, all the stories about fans putting their people in headlocks is like I'm just not having it. So if they go down, they go down. But look, I think it's going to take a massive lift to get them back up. I mean, look at the players that they could lose: Pickford, Onana, who else? Guay, Godfrey. I mean, I look at the team that they've got at the moment, and the problem that they've had all season is scoring goals. And look, Mopey has been a disastrous signing. He's been really, really poor. So, yeah, I think this is the season that Everton go down, and I think they're going to be in the Championship for maybe a season or two. And yeah, their final season at Goodison Park would be in the Championship, and then obviously they'd probably move to the Docks as well. Just very, very quickly before we do go into the final game, which is obviously Forest Southampton. What a game that is! Kendall, James Milner looks like he's going to Brighton.
Yeah, very. That's just random to me. I don't know what's going on. Sorry, Brighton signing, is it? As of late, they always just pull off some sort of random South American unbelievable talent off the conveyor belt. But yeah, it's just a very random thing. However, it does also make your owner pull a finger out the backside, because now you are absolutely, if it wasn't so obvious before, especially now that Jude said that he's going to Real Madrid, if it wasn't obvious before, it's very obvious now that you are going to need a quality midfielder. So yeah, it'll probably make FSG obviously put their hands in their pockets and get a decent midfielder. But yeah, just very, very random signing. And to answer your question, Craig, I won't miss Everton.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. I've just been seeing
the same thing about Sunderland. They always ask me the same thing about Sunderland, like, "Oh, do you not miss the derbies?" Absolutely not. I could quite happily sit here for the rest of my footballing life and not have another derby. It would not bother me whatsoever. And the same as Everton. Off the trot, I can't retune them. Honestly, they just need to. They just need to be humbled. If they come up next year, fair enough, no bother. But they just need to be humbled a little bit for me, 100%.
Do you know one thing I've got to say about them as well? And I've seen a couple of comments there about Everton versus Carlisle in League One. You can imagine that, couldn't you?
They could potentially go down to League One. They are really, really poor at this moment in time.
But I just think, with regards to their fans, every time I've spoken to an Everton fan this season, it's been very, very depressive. It's just like, yeah, we're just shit. We're rubbish. We're terrible. We're awful. And it's like, yeah, I think relegation.
And then you go to their stadium and they sing, "We are the greatest team in the land." I'm like, well.
No, you're not.
Since when? 70 years ago.
A trip to Plymouth might make them feel a little bit better. Might make them a bit happier, but then again, probably not.
Yeah. Mr. B, does anyone get the feeling Kendall doesn't like Everton?
Just a tad.
Just a tad. Well,
secretly,
she loves them.
Well, if you're talking,
I wouldn't care. I honestly wouldn't care. There's two Everton fans that I know. Baz, who I do the overlap with, he is one of the most genuine, decent guys I've ever met in my life. Same with Mike, who does Blue Boys Network as well. He is one of the loveliest men I've ever met. And I do feel sorry for them. I do not feel sorry for the majority of the fan base. I don't feel sorry for Evan. I don't feel sorry for the fans. It's just them specific two people I do feel sorry for. So, yeah, that's it.
Just go and support a different club, tell them.
Yeah.
Well, Well, when you thought that Brighton Everton was a very, very interesting one, this, oh, I tell you what, this is 6-pointer. This is, I think, whoever wins or probably goes on to stay up. That's got everything, this game as well. Craig, Nottingham Forest. They are in the relegation zone at this moment in time, but I look at their fixtures and this is one they should be aiming to win. You need to win your home games.
Yeah. I know I know you said it was 6-pointers. Southampton are not getting out of it, even if they do win this game. I think Southampton are gone. But yeah, Forest are showing a bit of heart. They're showing.
Yeah.
They looked good against Liverpool. Of course, they were ahead in that game. They were ahead at Brentford. Ended up getting beat 2-1. That is Forest's problem, is that they do seem to get turned over when they're in a decent position. They've spent a hell of a lot of money, a ridiculous amount. But then again, I think they had to, because they had a lot of loan signings when they come up. It's a bit like, when Huddersfield come up to the Premier League that season. They had a lot of loan signings. They had to spend quite a bit of money. They had to get a lot of players on frees. Actually did a bloody good job of staying up the first season. Forest, had to do that as well. I don't understand why Steve Cook hasn't really been getting his game there, because he is, defensively solid. He's one of those players that you can say, oh, he doesn't do anything spectacular, but he's solid. You know what you're getting from him, and you know that there's a rock at the back. Personally, I think Forest will get out of it. I think, everybody can probably now guess the bottom three in my head. But
is there any surprise with the amount of goals the other side is conceding at the moment?
But I think I think Forest will win this. And of course, we played Southampton recently. They are poor. I'd like you guys, not one that you wouldn't miss Everton. I think we'd miss Southampton. Deep down, even though we call it a little bit of a rivalry, there's a bit of a love between the two sides, believe it or not, because when this football club was on its backside, to be honest, Southampton fans were putting money in their buckets as well to keep our club afloat. So there is that bit of love between us, but I hope they come straight back up. But I just can't see them beating Forest. I can't see them getting much from the rest of the season, to be honest. If they get to 27 points, they've done well. But yeah, Forest win all day. And I think it's probably going to be 2-0. And I think that'll put Southampton on the brink.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the table, Kendall. I mean, were Forest to win, they would be 9 points off the bottom three, Southampton, to stay up. And obviously, they would only have 3 games to go. So it is inevitable that they are going down. What do you think is going wrong with Southampton this season?
I honestly don't know, but again, they've been on the verge for about 2 or 3-ish years now. Like under Hasenhüttl as well, they nearly got relegated as well. So, they have been on the verge. I wouldn't care. I actually really admire their recruitment plan. In terms of recruiting like really, really good young talent from other clubs. They've had like a decent relationship with Man City as well of late. So, they have got really good footballers in that team. Like at the first half against us, they played some really nice stuff, but the second half, I've never seen anything like that. They literally just it was like they weren't even there. Honestly, they just completely weakened. They were awful, and yeah, I just think it's just they can't carry out whatever they're doing over a significant period. So yeah, it's just one of those things, and they'll be fine in the Championship as opposed to Everton, because because of their recruitment policy. So
Yeah.
really good, quick, intense young players. And I think they'll be fine in the Championship, and they will probably come straight back up. But yeah, it's just gone wrong for them, and their manager for me is not tactically apt enough, because that second half there, our changes strengthened us and theirs weakened them, and it could have been a very different story if it was the other way around. But they made changes and it completely weakened them. They took Lavia off, who was their best player by a country mile, who's been their best player probably every game that I've watched of them. And they took him off, and after that there was just no control in midfield whatsoever, which I just thought was bizarre. Unless he's thought, well, we're not winning this game, so I may as well just save so and so. But you can't go into games like that when you're in the position that you're in. And I must admit, it's probably one of the highest point totals that I've seen of a team that are going down. So it just shows how competitive the league's been this season. But it leaves a lot to be desired, I suppose. But yeah, I think it's the Forest win. I've got probably 2-1 Forest for me.
Yeah, I've got 2-1 Forest as well. I just think if Forest win this, then it's looking. I wouldn't say they're safe yet, but they go to Chelsea next weekend. That's going to be an interesting game, that one. And then I think they've got Arsenal at home as well coming up. That will be a very interesting one as well. And then I can't remember who they go on the final day, but it's got the feeling to me that Forest are definitely one of those sides I think that will be staying up. And credit to Marinakis, because he could have easily got rid of Steve Cooper, Craig, but he didn't.
I think Steve Cooper's done a decent job. I think, he was always there or thereabouts in the Championship. And I think, he's moulded that side well in the end. It's very, very difficult when you've got that many players coming in to keep, firstly, them all happy, but secondly, to actually determine, right, okay. And a lot of those players come in after the season had started. So it's been a season of transition for Nottingham Forest, but I think they'll just about stay up. On the point of Southampton, actually, and I wanted to mention this as well, Southampton, with regards to their youth recruitment policy, it's all changed and all gone a little bit sour down there, because they have actually lost one of their top coaches, I believe, to Brighton, and they're struggling a little bit financially as well. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they will come back. But I think the story of this season really for them has been Ralph Hasenhüttl, started off. I think personally he's a good manager. He did well, probably overachieved there, because they have, like you say, they've been on the brink, quite a few seasons. They've had some heavy thrashings. And those heavy thrashings, it's not like when we went to Liverpool where, it was quite clearly the manager's fault. Liverpool, we caught you on a bad day. Well, didn't catch you on a bad day. Good day for Liverpool, but bad day for us. Southampton, when they've been beaten 9-0, you can say, well, they didn't, they just didn't look like they could give anything more at times. So I think Hasenhüttl did a good job, but people got very restless, and then they sacked him. Brought in Nathan Jones.
Strange. It was strange when they got rid of Hasenhüttl. I know that obviously they were on a bit of a bad run, but they kind of sort of basically had their sort of relegation almost wrapped up with the Nathan Jones. I think that was terrible.
He's a one-club man. He can do it at Luton. He didn't do it at Stoke. They gave him a ridiculous contract and then had to sack him after so long, because the results weren't there. He didn't seem to command the respect. Nathan Jones comes across as, when you see him in like Luton presses, he comes across as quite a direct person. You'd expect him to have commanded the respect of that team, but he didn't. I think maybe he's got a bit of a soft underbelly that nobody knows about. He could, like I say, he can do it at Luton, but he can't do it anywhere else.
As Oliver says here, let me get my teeth back in. Players like Bazanu, Bednarek, Kaletakar, Gineppo, Ward-Prowse, Lavia, Walcott, all these lads might leave. I mean, Kendall, looking at that list, is there anyone at Southampton you would take in Newcastle?
I'd take Lavia all day long, yeah. Probably that's about it.
If he wants to stay down here.
I don't mind Sulemana. I don't mind that Sulemana. I think he's quite good. But yeah, that's probably. I actually don't mind Kyle Walker-Peters at times either.
Yeah,
I think he's a player that could be coached well and actually be okay. But yeah, other than that, no. Everyone's obviously on about Ward-Prowse, but for me, he doesn't add anything to my team that we don't already have. He adds nothing. He's a set piece merchant for me. It just doesn't. Yes, 2 years ago I would have took him every single day of the week. But now he just doesn't. He's not. Look, James Ward-Prowse not going to go and play in the Champions League. Let's just be honest. So, it probably Lavia for me. I think he's fantastic. He's run the show every time I've watched him. Obviously Man City youth product. So yeah, he's genuinely phenomenal. And I do not see him staying there if they get relegated. Well, no offense, but when they get relegated, I just don't see him staying.
Well, if he likes
hello, Wayne, as well. Good evening from a Fulham fan.
I'd take Lavia as well. Some fans have said Ward-Prowse, but I just think, he's very, very good at dead ball situations. That's probably something that we haven't got, but at the same time, I don't think he offers anything more than the likes of Lerma and Phil Billing. Now, of course, Lerma could be off at the end of this season, which hopefully, fingers crossed, we can tie him down. He goes with our best wishes if he does go, which is unfortunately looks a bit more likely. But I don't think Ward-Prowse would be the replacement because personally, I think dead ball situations he's very, very good. He doesn't offer what Lerma does offer. So yeah, I would just take Lavia all day.
Wayne has interestingly got Leicester with Southampton and Everton. Interesting. Thinks Leeds are going to stay up because of Big Sam. Leeds are really poor. I think they go down and Forest will be safe. Another thing is, if we beat Forest and Bournemouth at home, we'd have every chance of staying up. Home from form has been hope. Oh yeah, Nick Knack's a Southampton fan. Nick Knack. Yeah, I'm sorry to say this, but I think the writing's been on the wall for a while. Unfortunately, Benedict and Gineppo will not be a loss, nor will Walcott.
I tell you who was awful against us as well. That Lianco, he is atrocious, Saints. I don't know whether that was an off game from or what, but oh my god, he was absolutely getting rinsed all over the shop. In fact, he got hooked actually early on in the second half. But yeah, he was poor.
Would I take Ward-Prowse Liverpool? No, I wouldn't. To be honest, I wouldn't. See, Brentford would be a good move, Mr. B. Be a good move for Ward-Prowse. Otherwise, they'll be safe once they beat Fulham. Ward-Prowse is passing and shooting is right up there, just as a case of utilising them correctly. I'd take, what's this, Bella Kotchap and Lavia Liverpool, Southampton.
Oh, I like Bella Kotchap as well, to be fair.
Yeah. He's very, very good. Need centre back 2 years out of defence has been atrocious this season.
He's really good friends with Canate, though, isn't he? So I wouldn't actually be surprised if he was ended up with him.
Yeah, so around 1-0 up at half time, but second half they crumbled. I can't see us keeping hold of Walker-Peters either. So
I don't mind Walker-Peters, honestly. I would, as I said, I don't mind Walker-Peters.
So before we go, because the championship ends on Monday, well, the teams that are confirmed in the playoffs, Luton and Middlesbrough. So that's not going to change. So it is one from Coventry, Millwall, Sunderland, West Brom, and Blackburn. So I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the third team coming up? Craig.
I'll give you two. The team that I'd like to go up and the team that I think will go up. So the team I think will come up is Middlesbrough. I think Middlesbrough, very, very good under Michael Carrick. He's done a fantastic job there. So I think I think Middlesbrough will go up. The team I'd quite like to see come up, I'd quite like to see Millwall come up.
Millwall in the Premier League would be very
I
interesting.
actually would like to see
Very
Millwall come up.
interesting.
I think, in fact, I know quite a few Millwall fans, and they're absolutely smashing people, lovely guys. I think there's all this, everybody hates that football club, and we don't care. I think they do care, and I think they've moved away from that. And I think it's I don't know if you've ever been to the Den, but it's one of those stadiums. It's one of those stadiums. It's got a great atmosphere. It's not particularly in the best part of London, but I think it's quite a nice away day. So I know that sounds weird, but I'd quite like to see Millwall come up to the Premier League.
So you're saying Middlesbrough, but you'd like Millwall to come up?
No, I think Middlesbrough will. I'd like Millwall, though, to come up.
Ooh. Kendall?
Yeah, I think Middlesbrough will as well. I don't mind Middlesbrough coming up, to be honest. I don't feel like a rivalry with them like I would do Sunderland. Middlesbrough don't really have like any rivals in that respect. A bit similar to us in terms of like the Premier League. We don't have any rivals in the Premier League, so it would be nice to see them come up. Bit of a local away day for me, and I think Michael Carrick is doing a really, really, really good job. He's got some of those players like Chuba Akpom, for example, just playing phenomenally. Are you just enjoying yourself there? As you can tell, we've just recently lost a tooth, so we're a bit gap tooth at the moment, aren't you? But so Middlesbrough, for me, I think they will come up, and I would like to see them come up. But it'll be very interesting to see Luton in the Premier League. It'll be very interesting to see Millwall in the Premier League. So it could be a really, really exciting promotion for third place this year. So it'll be really, really good to watch, I think, this time round.
Well, I think the four that will obviously be in the playoffs, I think after obviously Monday, I think obviously Luton and Middlesbrough. I'm going to go Coventry, and I hate to say it, Kendall, I think Sunderland are going to get it.
Sunderland have played some really good football this year, to be fair to them. Both my parents remarried Sunderland fans, so we're very outnumbered actually in my family at the moment, Newcastle fans. But yeah, they've played some decent football, to be fair, and so it actually genuinely won't surprise me if they're in the playoffs. But I just think there's other teams a little bit more ready than they are to come up.
Yeah, and I actually think Coventry might be the ones that come up. I think we might see an old team come back up. As much as I like Luton, I would love Luton to come up, but I just don't see it. Millwall, it's that game against Blackburn. It's that game on the final day. Yes. If they were to draw against Blackburn, then obviously that would allow sort of Sunderland to sort of come in. But if they win, I think they would guarantee themselves. I think Coventry are at Middlesbrough as well, so this is what makes it very, very intriguing, is that obviously you look at like Middlesbrough, they've obviously got Coventry. Luton, I think they got Hull, so you'd probably say Luton are going to win that game as well. But Sunderland are at Preston, Blackburn are at Millwall, so it shall be very, very interesting. But it has been a wonderful show. Thank you very much to everyone who's watched, and thank you to Craig and Kendall for coming on as well. Craig, I know that you've obviously been streaming on your channel as well, which I obviously invited you to. Tell the people where they can find you.
Yep, so the channel is called UTC IAD, Up the Cherries in All Departments. So we do interviews, do our cherry picking podcast show, opposition preview shows, and also we do other special shows as well. So do check out if you want to find out a little bit more about what Harry has to say about the relegation battle. And also there's a really good video though I did with Harry Redknapp about some of the players that he bought in through the game, including Gareth Bale, which I'd never really heard much about.
You know, his first signing as Portsmouth manager was Eddie Howe.
Yes, it was. It was. It was.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes.
That's amazing.
And then Eddie got injured on his debut, was out for the season.
And that's true as well. Eddie Howe has always been very, very unlucky with injuries. And in fact, on our Cherries Extra channel, there is we did actually do a watch along of the 1998 Auto Windscreen Shield final against Grimsby. I know it sounds crazy, but Eddie played in that game. You could watch it on there. The audio is not particularly very good, unfortunately. But also on our Cherries Extra channel, there is the whole match if you want to watch it. And of course, Eddie played in that game.
Wow. There you go.
I have
There
to
you go.
watch
Yes,
it.
I will try and watch that as well. Kendall, I know you have a channel, but you haven't had. I don't think you've streamed for a while, have you?
Doug, every time I come on this show, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to use that channel. I still have not. I don't think I've uploaded since like midway through last season, or maybe like early at the beginning of the season when it was like I was kind of trying to predict the Premier League shocks and stuff. So yeah, I don't use it very much. I really should, but I don't. But if you want to follow me on my socials or find me somewhere, you'll be able to find me here. All my socials are Kendall Robin. So yeah, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, anywhere you want to find me, you will find me there. The latest episode of The Overlap is also available on the Overlap YouTube as well. Newcastle don't get much of a say, but if you are my Arsenal or Man City fan, then you do get spoken about a lot. So go and watch that. And yeah, that's it from me, I think. And our special guest. That's enjoyed it looking at herself in the camera. I think you might have to be a YouTuber.
Mom, my head's there. But
yeah, it's because the camera's mirrored.
Yeah.
But thank you for having me as always, Doug. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure. And hello, Amy. Hope you have a lovely bank holiday weekend, which I would imagine you do. Nick says you should do streaming, Kendall. You know your stuff. There we go.
Thank
there
you.
We go indeed. Guys,
maybe one day I will do it when I say I will, but
yeah, absolutely. But guys, thank you very much for watching. It's been a fabulous show, and yeah, some interesting predictions as well. And obviously, we will be back next week as well with the week 36. Yeah, and I think there's more games to predict next week as well. Yeah, that's going to be very, very interesting. But guys, enjoy the football. It's going to, obviously, the King's coronation this weekend as well. I mean, obviously, if you're a Liverpool supporter, obviously the only king you really pledge allegiance to is obviously King Kenny Dalglish. If it's a Newcastle fan, it's King Eddie Howe. And Bournemouth, King Gary O'Neill. From the three of us, good night and enjoy your weekend as well. See you later. Bye-bye.